Okay then my friends, so now we know how to add new documents to a collection and also how to find documents using the find method. Next up, I want to briefly talk a little bit more about the structure of documents, in particular nested documents. So we've seen the general structure of a document, which looks very much like a JSON object, right? With key and value pairs, where the keys are the field names in MongoDB terminology. And the values of these fields can be many different types: string, booleans, numbers, arrays, etc. But the value of a field could also be a nested document, which is basically like another JSON object or an array of nested documents. For example, we could have a stock field whose value could be a nested document, and that nested document would outline some stock details of that book for the bookstore. For example, it could have a count property to say how many are in stock, and it could have a price property as well. As another example, we could tack on an additional field to each book document, which would be a reviews field. And the value of that field could be an array of documents, where each nested document represents a review for this book. So each of the nested review documents could have a name field, which would be the name of the reviewer, and a body field for the review contents. And now whenever we'd fetch a book document, we'd also be fetching a list of reviews as well for that book, which is good if we want to use that data together for a web page or something. So we can show the book details at the top of the page maybe, and then list some reviews underneath it. Now, this approach to using nested documents, or embedded documents as they're also known, has some benefits. Mainly, it can improve read performance in some cases, because an alternative approach to this would be to have a reviews collection as well as the books collection, and that would store all of the review documents, and each review would essentially reference, by way of ID or some other property, a specific book. So if we wanted to fetch a book and its corresponding reviews, we'd have to make two queries, one for the book and then another for all of the reviews belonging to that book, right? So using nested documents instead for something like this can be a better option, because we're just making the one query. Now, if the number of reviews for a particular book becomes huge, then it might be worth just storing the latest reviews on each book document instead of all of the reviews. And that way, if we're fetching books, then we're not also fetching huge amounts of review data that we might not need right away. And we only fetch the latest reviews instead. And then any further reviews could be fetched in the background from a separate reviews collection when you need them. So, for example, a user could click on a button to fetch additional reviews. So we have this kind of hybrid approach in this case, right? For now though, let's try adding some nested review documents in our books data. Alright then, so before we start adding these different nested documents, in the books collection, I've deleted all of the current books just so we can start from scratch, because we're reconfiguring the structure of these documents, if you like. So rather than me edit each book, I've just deleted them all, and then we can add them as we go forward. So then, inside the terminal now, we want to add a new book with a reviews property, which is going to have nested documents. So let me do this. To do that, we say db.books, and then we want to insert one. So we're adding one document, right? And in here we want a title property first of all, and that is going to be the Way of Kings, and then we want an author property, and that is going to be Brandon Sanderson, like so. Then I want a rating property, which is going to be 9, and then we'll have a pages property, which is, I don't know, 400. Then we'll have a genres property, which is an array, and inside that I'm going to say fantasy, like so. And then we just need the reviews property, and this is going to be where the nested documents are. Now, if this was just a single nested document, like if we were doing the stock property, it might just be another object here, but we're doing a list of nested objects. So in our case, it's going to be an array of objects, if you like, and each object would represent a nested document, a nested review. So for each of these, we need a name field for the name of the person who leaves the review. It's going to be Yoshi in this case, and then we'll do a body field as well, and this is just going to be great book. Very simple. It's a man of few words. Alright, so that's the first review, and then we'll do a comma after that review document right here, because this is an array of documents. Remember, we can have multiple nested documents. So we'll do another where the name this time is going to be a Mario, and then the body is going to be so-so. All right. So now if I press enter, it should add this book, and we can see that it has right here, and we get the ID. But if we open up now Compass and refresh over here, then we should see this. And now we can see if we open this up, each one of these has an object inside it. And we can see this nested document has a name and a body. Name and a body, right? So that's worked. So now we have these nested documents inside the reviews property. So let's also add quite a few more. And this time what I'm going to do is use the insert many function. First of all, let me just give myself some room by clearing the screen. And now I can say db.books.insert many this time to insert more than one document, and it's going to be an array since we want to pass through basically an array of documents. Now I'm not going to type these out from scratch because that would take me ages, so instead what I'm going to do is use my trusty notepad, copy all of these I've pre-prepared, and I'm just going to paste them in here. We'll see some random flashing while it does that, and then if I press enter now, it's going to add all of those books, so 4 in total, and we can see all of these IDs that MongoDB has generated for those books. Alright, so let's just verify all of this by going to Compass and refreshing over here. And now we can see we have 5 documents in total. And if we take a look at those, each of them has a reviews property with some nested documents inside it. So a number of reviews in each one of them. Alright, so then my friends, that's how we can add nested documents to our documents inside a collection.